Boatworks today is sponsored by Total Boat and Alexseal Yacht Coatings, as well as supported by the generosity from the beautiful folks over on Patreon. Thank you so much. I think I'm gonna have to compromise on this transom. So welcome back, everybody. Hope you're having a great weekend. My name is Andy with Boatworks today, and this week, well, actually it's been 2 weeks. I have been getting my tail kicked trying to figure out how I'm gonna tackle this transom. Now, normally when I walk into a project, I can typically just take a look at it and like that, I can pretty much see the steps start to finish, how it's gonna go. Well, that's not happening with this for one reason or another. That happens once in a while, but for whatever reason, I just have this huge mental block and I can't see it. And I've been this way my whole life. When I get into something where I'm not able to see it start to finish, I kind of like almost mentally paralyzed, and that's what I'm running into here. So I think I have an idea. This is more or less just going to be kind of a thinking out loud kind of a video, kind of going through what I think is going to work, and kind of bouncing some ideas out there, see if maybe someone out there can come up with maybe a fix to this one last step that I can't quite wrap my head around. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So as I mentioned in the past, kind of what I was hoping to be able to do was to basically, when it's all said and done, have basically new Kusa material extending from essentially right here all the way up to the top, all the way over to roughly right there, and then back down all the way around. But where I'm running into issues here is that this transom is very, very uneven. There's basically three, for lack of better words, I'm just going to call them elevations that I need to, kind of work with. Right up and through here, this is obviously sitting more proud than right down in here. This is all pretty much equal coming down until I get to about right here. And then this is probably proud again by almost an inch. And basically the only way that I'm going to be able to get a solid sheet kind of going over this whole area is that I'm going to have to kind of equal out or basically build out those low areas to match the higher areas. And because this is a bit of a curved transom, it compounds things as far as it's not a matter of just cutting out a little piece, sticking it in certain areas to build that up, because it doesn't work, unfortunately. So just as a real quick example here, now this is looking at the top of the transom. Now when I get up into this corner, now this face coming down here, this is pretty much coming down flush. So from here to here, that's a good solid ½ inch. That's the easy part. But because this is a curved transom, this whole face right here, this was made flat from the factory. And I'll show a little bit of detail here on the exterior just so you can get a better idea of what I'm talking about. But right through here, this is the thinnest area, or I guess the most shallow area from the exterior. Now, all of this is still flush with the Kusa, all the way across, but there's a lip right here that's sticking out a good, I would say almost a good 3/4 of an inch. So to try and come in and scab a piece that would say start here, wrap all the way across, and over to the starboard side, that's not going to work, because then this area right in the middle here is going to be sticking out proud. So kind of what I'm thinking about doing here to work with this, I don't know if it's going to work. I may end up actually creating more work for myself, but because these two corners are pretty much flush coming down, what I'm going to try and do is basically take this lip and I'm going to grind this down flush so it comes down straight, matching here. Now, because this is the center area and it's so thin, there is a chance, because this is, this skin right here, especially right here, it's not very thick. It's maybe like a 1/4 inch thick right here. But if I'm able to sand this down flush so that I could actually take a piece of, say, ½ inch Kusa, cut it to, let's see, where's my thing? Yeah, so cut it to basically the shape of right through here, come up, and just basically filling in this low spot, coming all the way around, and then repeat that same process for this corner over here. If I can get one piece in like that, that will then take this area, make it flush with this plane coming down from the up in here. And if that works, let me back up. So then I know that this area in the middle is going to be sticking out proud after I do that. So then after that's in place, then I'll have to come in and basically sand any of the proud areas down flush. So right here, the Kusa may only be like a 1/4 inch thick, and then as you get out towards more towards the corners here, it'll get thicker and thicker, and then by the time you get to here, and especially over here, it should be full thickness. There is a risk that by doing this, I'm going to actually sand through and kind of create a well, a hole right through the back of the transom. I don't know that. That's an unknown. I don't like that. But I don't know. It's the only way that I can see to possibly make one step of progress. So now, once I get that part in, now, because then all of this will kind of be at least on a I don't know what you call that, like enough of a similar plane where the Kusa will be able to kind of flex and form to shape without having any voids beneath it. But once I can get that in place, then I think I'll be able to come in and cut a larger piece, basically more of like a large rectangle that will come up to about right up to here, over to about here, down, and it'll come across right about this height here. So all of this will then be one solid piece. And I can build that up 2-3 layers thick. Now, because there's down in these corners here, where it starts to jot out along the bottom, like right in through here. Hopefully you can see that. But this is sticking out proud, probably close to another inch compared to right up in here. So because of that where it jots out along the bottom here, that's creating a bit of a problem for being able to take a large sheet and have it extend from top all the way down to the bottom. So when I come in and do this filler piece here, it's going to be basically, I'm going to have a seam right around here. And then I'm going to have to cut a separate piece that's just basically the shape of this lower area, and fill that in. So there is going to be a seam here, unfortunately. Now, as far as the second piece, as far as what's going to go over that part I haven't quite figured out yet. I think what I'm going to end up having to do is just get to this point and then just kind of reassess things. I had it stuck in my head that I wanted this whole thing to be one solid piece, at least on the very, very last layer of Kusa. But the more I've been thinking about this, I don't really know how important that really is. As long as I can get basically this main area tied in, as one solid piece, these stringers are going to be extended all the way back and tied back into the transom. So these stringers are going to reinforce this whole lower area. And that's also not to say that I couldn't put in another knee, right here in the center, kind of extending basically down and even coming up. So that even though I'm not able to have a solid sheet top to bottom, as long as I can get 3/4 of that basically all unitized or kind of tied in as one solid chunk, I think the bottom is just going to be able to take care of itself with the stringers and then the center knee. I think. I mean, right now it all seems about as clear as mud to me. So, yeah. So now this video is going to be going out to Patreon, tonight, on Friday night, and it'll be hitting YouTube on Sunday morning. Now, providing I don't see any red flags or someone doesn't raise any red flags or point out any problems with kind of what I was talking about in this video, starting Monday morning then, I'm going to be mixing up a ton of epoxy and starting to get the stuff mounted. And at that point, it's kind of the point of no return. Now, speaking of Patreon, for those that aren't aware, a large part of what I do back behind the scenes is consultation. I work with people on, helping them with their own projects, whether it's getting the right materials, making sure the materials are being used correctly in the right order, and just kind of going over the overall process for whatever repair they happen to be working on. Now, the reason I bring that up is that spring really isn't that far off. It's 2 more weeks, we're going to be into March, and in the past, March tends to be kind of that time of the year where people start to kind of switch gears and start focusing on getting their own projects ready on their boats, so everything's ready to go come springtime. Now, this year in particular, this spring, the way it's looking, there's going to be a real good likelihood of some pretty significant changes happening on my part. And because of that, I need to make sure that I'm not going to have myself spread too thinly. So, if you have some projects coming up that you think would be helpful or beneficial to work together to try and get it done as quickly and efficiently as possible, if you think that working together would be helpful, I suggest you head over to Patreon now and just kind of look over some of the levels that I have there to see if something is of interest and might be of some help. Because, like I said, just to make sure I'm not spreading myself too thin, I am going to be, for this year, limiting the amount of people that I'm able to work with, just so that I make sure that there's enough time to actually get everything done that is going to need to get done. So if you have something coming up that you think would be helpful, go over and check it out. If it's something that would be great, helpful for you, great. If not, that's great too. It's just one of the perks that I offer there, along with like discounts for total boat products and that kind of a thing. So on that note, I think this is going to be a good place to end this video. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it interesting. And if you did, hit that thumbs up button. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you in advance. I really appreciate that. If you have any questions, comments, specifically about what I'm about to dive into on Monday morning, I would love to hear your thoughts. Please leave those down below. I'll do my best to I'll be monitoring all this very carefully. I'll do my best trying to stay on top of things. But on that, I guess, thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Wish me luck. Because I may need it.
This has been a Boatworks Today production.